Good evening. Today we are going to do a very interesting topic. That topic is called divine love. So we have heard about this word divine love, but a certain amount of explanation needs to be given. So I'm going to give you that. The question is, what is divine love? Now, when human beings talk of the word love, what exactly do they mean? They mean that there is somebody to reciprocate it. That means there is another person. If there is a mother, there is a child. There is a husband, there is a wife. Right? There is a girlfriend, there is a boyfriend. Two people coming together. Relatives, friends, you name it. You may have love for your dog, your cat, or whatever other animal that you have. Now, this love is reciprocal in nature. That means you do something, the other person has to do something back to you. So, this is a mundane kind of a love, absolutely a lower level kind of a love. In spiritual, the highest, the uttermost, the highest, the topmost, Shikhar, the point that is Point Everest, Mount Everest, the highest peak that is there, the last point over there, that is called divine love. It is called prema. Alright? So now I will take you from prema, how the prema evolved and what exactly happened along the way. Now in some of the scriptures there is a mention. If you go to some of these scriptures which talk about Krishna, and Radha is not mentioned quite a lot in most of the major scriptures like the Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita or any other of the major ones. Radha is never mentioned, but in lesser scriptures like the Brahma Vaivarta Puran and all, it is mentioned. Her mention is there. So at that point where this divine love has to be described, there is a story given out that Krishna, who is called the one who is in the second divine unmanifest, which is also his abode where he stays, and he is also a supreme person over there. So he is a person, he is an abode, the whole thing is his. So it is mentioned that when he wanted to feel and understand love, how did he do it? So he had to split himself into two identities. One is called Krishna and the second one is called Radha. It is his own identity being split up into two. Now, then the story goes on that he had to experience the love. How does one experience love when there is another person? So this is the lesser level. Now over there, Krishna wanted to understand many a times that his counterpart, his better half should I say, okay, how does she experience love? And many a times he has tried to find it out and he has never succeeded. So at a time he comes just like a man, tries to experience that love for another person, that is Radha, who is then a woman. But it never can be understood. Next time he wants to know what does Radha feel like in love. So he takes a form of a man who is like Radha. Okay? The appearance is of a male, but it is all the characteristics are female. So you will find that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's avatar is described like that. He is Radha in Krishna's form. Or should I say Krishna in Radha's form? Whichever way you look at it, because both are one and the same. And the entire life he tried finding out by becoming a Radha. So he used to say Krishna, Krishna, Krishna all the time. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life went just talking about Krishna and being lost in this word called Krishna. He was never able to arrive at that understanding ever. Though being God Almighty, still nobody can explain love. At a time he would be so much lost in love that the shape of his body would be completely, he would go out of shape. The experience of divine love is such, where you really do not even know what is happening. So this divine love, he was trying to understand, but he was never able to understand. So in the next avatar, he is going to try something else. So he is a male who wants to become a female. Alright? And in the next after that, he is a female. So if you actually look at what I am saying, it will tell you how the avatars are going to be coming. So after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's avatar, the next one would be male, like I said, but female. He would operate as a male. And the next after that, it will be the reversed out one. So the idea about divine love can never be understood, even if it is God Almighty and if he tries to understand it. So I will explain to you with a story. Now, it is mentioned in some of the very secret writings that there was a cousin of Radha. Her name was Chandravali. Now Chandravali was equally in love with Krishna as much as Radha was in love with Krishna. So Radha is not able to make it for their appointment with Krishna one day. Instead of that, Radhavali goes over there. Now when Radhavali goes over there, the Leela happens as usual. And the next day, Radha comes to know about it, ki instead of me, somebody else landed up over there. Now when this happens, it's a very big discomfort. Everybody is going to look at it, oh, instead of you, your cousin went. You see, the whole problem happens over here in the material world. Everybody gets upset. Radha is also upset. So the friends say, all the gopikas, they say, see, Radha is very upset. We have to go and ask her, Naturally, everybody has the habit of going and poking around, you know that. They just want to tease the other person. So they went and they asked Radha, say, you must be feeling terrible, your cousin went instead of you and you did not even get a chance to go. Is that the reason why you are angry? Because you got left out? So she says, no. I am angry with Chandravali and for a different reason altogether. So what is that reason? You see, Chandravali will never take care of Krishna the way I do. Krishna may want something. You see, Krishna has a way of eating bida. Bida means a pan, I'm sure you all, those of you have seen pan. So he takes it in a particular fashion. Now he cannot be given straight. Krishna should never be offered anything straight away. So what does Radha do? She takes a bite of it. Okay? She will take a bite of it and then she will give a portion of it to Krishna. It's exactly the way you have seen in the previous avatar of his, the bear story. Bear means in English, what do you call it? I think bear. I don't know what you call it in English, but anyway. So Sri Ram had to take the bear. He loved that. And so it was offered to him after eating so that it should be sweet. It cannot be khatta. Khatta means sour. So that story is there. So in this life, think about it. Radha would offer him and he would eat it and chew it. You chew the pan and everything gets mixed around. You take only the essence of it. You don't throw out. And Radha would then take whatever is left from his mouth and eat it. I am not telling you some strange stories. It is there in the in the scriptures. You can go and read them. Okay? So that is the love which she was talking about. She is bothered about whether Chandravali was able to feed that pan properly or no. Whether she was able to give that kind of service which she gives. She was not bothered with what happened with her. No. She was only bothered that Krishna has to be served perfectly. And if he is not served perfectly, it is not good. True divine love is something like that. It is all about serving God. Seva bhavana. It is not about taking anything from him. So Radha explains this in a very beautiful manner. Some of you might have heard of this very beautiful scripture. I mean, you can't call it a scripture. It's a poem written by who's that person? Gopi. Jayadeva. Yes, Jayadeva. Now Jayadeva had written about Gita Govind. Gita Govind should not be read by everybody, by the way. Please. Only a few people are entitled for reading it. Reading in the sense you need an explanation, but that explanation will sound completely off color for most of those people who have their noses up in the air when they talk about these kind of things. So be careful while reading it. You don't have to buy it and read it. But these are the stories that are mentioned over there for understanding purpose. What is divine love? I visited a place which is very close to Dakshineshwar. Now this is a place which is just about, I think, 200-300 meters down from Dakshineshwar temple. Ananda was the name of this great sage, the saint, who built this temple. Now in that temple there is an image, there are images which you get to see from a bit far. You cannot go close by, you have to see from far. In that, when they open the door, you can see the image. The image starts with, first, at the bottom you see Ramakrishna Paramahansa's image. Just above that is Kali's image. It is in step, one step, two step. So next one is called Kali's image. And the third one, the highest one, is Radha and Krishna. Now what is the meaning of this? If you go to Ananda Thakur's place, you will understand what is the meaning. You have to go through the Guru to reach God. Higher than the God is love. This is the meaning of those images. So Ananda Thakur was able to do this very nicely. His story is also very unique. Sometime when there is a chance, I will give you a story of Ananda Thakur also. He's a very great saint. So I hope you understood what this divine love is. Divine love is not the ordinary kind of love within two human beings. It is not between two human beings. It is between the divine and itself. Do you understand? The divine has to find the love itself. So what is this love all about? What is this divine that we are talking about? The divinity is inside of you. It is not outside of you. You have that little portion of the divine inside of you. That is the reason why you are called the Atma. Isn't it? You have an Atma, they say. Actually, it is the Jivatma. The Atma is always trying to be one with the Paramatma, the Supreme Soul. It is the love between the smaller Atma over here, actually it's not a smaller Atma, I have explained before, with the bigger one, which means actually they are one only. They are not two. They are one only. And they have to be experienced as one. So how would this Atma experience the Paramatma? That is divine love. And it cannot be an ordinary kind of a love at all. I will give you an expression, the way how it works in the material domain. Let us go back to the beginning of time. Alright, so I will just give you an understanding. It's a little bit scientific, so just listen to it. Now there is a story which I am giving you. Let us say there is a male, alright, and then there is a female, right? Now, the male, can he create anything on his own? The future generation, can he create? No way. So he requires this female, right? This is how it works. So let us say a sperm and an egg coming together. They form a cell. You know, they combine together and they form a cell. Does the same cell divide? Yes. The same cell divides into 2, then into 4, then into 8, and so on and so forth. It is the same cell which is getting divided. Think. At the beginning there was only one. He required another. They came together to form one. The one became many. Many such cells came into the picture. Now think what I am saying. Every cell, we know there are stem cells, isn't it? Every stem cell is more or less the same. There is no differentiation. But when it takes a shape, or a size or a form, whatever, then it becomes different. That means earlier the cells were dividing 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Just keep on going. Suddenly some group of cells become a heart. Some cells become lungs, some cells become hands, some cells become legs. Think about it. All the cells were one and they all divided. Now everything became different. Now if I have to take, as a grown-up person, if I have to take a piece from your hand over here and if I want to put it in your heart, do you really think your heart will take it? No. Now see this differentiation which happened. When the cells were dividing by itself, they could have been changed from here to there. But the formation happens just like that, isn't it? The heart will come at the right place. The legs will come at the right place. The head will come at the right place. The brain happens at the right place. So everywhere the distinction happens, you will find that the whole human being comes into the picture. Go back to the same story which I told you just now. 1 became 2. And these 2 multiplied themselves to such a level that everything became same. They are all the gopis. Can you understand this? All of them are the same. But when they take a form on the earth, they differ. They differ. Why? Because every form has a job to do. See, go back to it again. The heart has a job, which is not the same as lungs, which is not the same as stomach, which is not the same as legs or hands. Heart has a different job, leg has a different job, all these jobs are different. But can you see that one cell, two cell, three cell, like that, they only became the hands, they only became the legs, and so on and so forth. Difference in their final appearance. But everything carries the same data of the original one. So even if I take a hand or a leg, and if I go to the basic cell inside, it will have the same DNA structure. Isn't it? So this was a little bit of a scientific understanding for you to understand how God in His own glory created so many, and every individual, when he takes a form, the heart took a form, remember that. Like the leg took a form, the hands took a form. When anything takes a form, it has specific properties. It has specific jobs to do. The hand's job cannot be done by the heart. The heart's job cannot be done by the legs. You should know this. You are nothing but a conglomerate of this entire being of the Lord. Every cell of yours is filled with the love of divine. Except we don't understand it, it's because we have a form. If we go back to the baser level where we started all over, and that time you will understand. So when it started identifying itself, it is called as the self. When the same thing, when it got identified, it said, I am the self. Till that time, it had no differentiation. Got it? So this is, the divine love is something which evolves into what we are also. And if I have to go back to where I came from, not with the body, not as a heart, not as a leg, not as a hand, but I have to go back into that same place, back to the place. I will understand the truth of being in love. So I have to remove entire this false being which I created for myself. When I remove this false being from myself, I will remain as that spirit soul. So I will understand the real spirit soul. The real spirit soul is what I have split into. Right? And it is nothing but a part of that divine soul. And that urge and that feel that I have for being with the divine is the divine love. I know I have not given a classical explanation which everybody gives, but this is an explanation which I think you might understand a little bit. So I have given you all this explanation. All right. There's another question which is also on divine love only. What are practical ways to purify the heart and experience love? Well, it is said that the God lives in the heart of every being. It is said like that. We have to take it as gospel truth. Krishna himself says, I live in everybody's heart. So how do you experience that purity? The love which is there in every divine being, every person. How do you experience that? He says, the question is very, very clear. He says the practical way to purify the heart. The heart by itself is covered by too many layers of what is called as Maya. We do not understand the truth. It is like, a box which contains something and there is a covering on top and there are many layers and layers and layers of covering. I have to peel off one by one, finally to come to the bottom of it all. Then I will understand is what is said. But Heart is not like that. Heart is like an onion. You know onion? If I remove the first layer, there is a second layer below. If I remove the second one, there is another one below. And if I keep on removing, finally when I come to the end point of it, do you find anything inside? No. It is full of layers only. Maya is like this. Maya is full of layers. And even if you go to the depth of it, you may not find anything, because Maya is the divine itself. We always discount Maya. You see, we think Maya is the one who is deluding us. Of course, her job is delusion. But actually it's illusion. Finally we get deluded. That is why we say. So how do you purify this to understand the truth? The truth can be understood by what is called as sadhana. Alright? In the material world we do the sadhana so that we can understand the truth. But if you are a devotee of the Lord, the devotee doesn't require sadhana as such. The devotee requires what we are doing in the Dasbodh. What is it that we did in the Dasbodh? Yesterday we did something really very strange, isn't it? Right? He is talking about the different ways of achieving this ultimate destination. We are doing it chapter by chapter. Yesterday it was Kirtan. And today it is going to be about how we have to look at Vishnu, the God Almighty. How do you see him? No, nobody has seen Vishnu, by the way. We have just seen his pictures or images or idols. That is all we have seen. So how do we actually see Vishnu? So this is one more. So the way in which you want to purify the heart is to be in love with God by following these simple procedures. Like Kirtan, taking the name of God constantly, being devoted to Him, being in love with Him, going through your Guru. That is the next chapter is there after this. First we have to understand Vishnu, and then we have to understand who is this Guru and why is he there. Because he is going to take you towards this divine love. And how does the purification happen? The Guru is the one who cleans you out, Alright? So he is the one who is going to show you the path of devotion. So here I would like to tell you that the practical way is what we are doing in the Dasbodh. Listen to the satsangs of Dasbodh, you will get all your answers over there. I have given you a small explanation about divine love. How do you have purification of the heart and go towards divine love is now being done in this scripture, this very beautiful book which I have, which is called Dasbodh by Swami Samartha Ramdas. So I will stop over here with my questions and I will proceed with the book. Yesterday we did about Kirtan. As I explained about Kirtan means taking the name of God, listening to the stories, their poems and all those things, right? Today we are going to do from the third Dashaka, chapter 3, remembering Lord Vishnu. We are going to do what is called as remembering Lord Vishnu. In the last chapter, the second type of devotion, which is Kirtan, which purifies everybody, was explained. Now please listen to the third type, which is called to remember Lord Vishnu. We should remember God. We should repeat His name continuously, and by remembering the name, we should get peace. Now, somebody had asked me a question quite some time back, and I had told them an answer, like I will explain that answer to you. Whatever you say, whatever you do, the way you express things, that is what you become. It is said like that. So when you are very, very angry, you are upset, you are angry, and you want to get into a very big fight, say with your beloved, whoever is your significant other, You are in love with that person, but still, fights happen. You see, when a person is in love, also, they will fight. Material worldly love, okay? So, the person fights. So, I said, when you can think of all the negative things in the life, because when you want to get into a fight, you are going to talk about all the nonsensical stuff that has ever happened in your life, because you want to give it back to that person. You can never think of anything good at that point in time. The formula is very simple. Just say, I love you. And keep on repeating it like a mantra. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. See, by the time you come to the 10th time when you say it, you will find that your anger has gone out of the window. And then you actually feel love. I'm telling you this. This is the truth. You have to feel it to understand what I'm saying. Continue to say so. And that is the reason why it is easy to get out of anger. Now, there is another mention which Ramakrishna Paramahansa said to somebody who was sitting in the audience. So, the person said, I follow these particular scriptures in which it is written that we are all sinners and we need redemption. Ramakrishna Paramahansa looked at that person and said, don't you say that I am a sinner, I am a sinner, I am a sinner. You are not a sinner. Say like this, I am the Son of God. He is my Father. He will forgive me for all the sins. So I am not a sinner. I might have done some things, but my Father, my God, the Father who is there, is definitely going to forgive me. And when we talk this kind of a language, you don't become a sinner at all. See, that is the way he explained it. So here in this case, I have to take the name of the Lord constantly. Understand this. If I take the name of the Lord constantly, I am going to become that one with Him. You see, I will become one with Him. It's a very simple principle, and that is what is being explained here. We should remember God. We should repeat His name continuously. And by remembering that name, we get peace. Just take His name. It really doesn't matter. Sometimes people ask me, I don't feel that love. Why should I take the name? Does not matter. You see, in India we have a very simple philosophy. Not now, in olden times, okay? Now it is left-right swiping. It's a different story. Earlier it was father and mother will definitely bring they will get a girl for the, the arranged marriages as we call it. You really think you are in love with that person? Not at all. You are meeting some stranger. And imagine when you are meeting the stranger, you are not even in love. You might have been in love with somebody else before you got married. Now you are meeting a very strange person after marriage. And this strange person is the person you are going to lead your entire life. Maybe next 50 years, 60 years, God knows how many years you are going to stay with this person. So isn't it important that you see the name of that person and you feel the love constantly? Don't try to see faults in that person. Don't. Just see the goodness. And then you will find that you will fall in love with that person. This is what happens. So in arranged marriages also, there is a lot of oneness also. So here, I explained to you material point of view, but spiritually, when you take the name of God continuously, consistently, without fail, whatever may be the case that is happening, you may not have a feeling at that point in time. You may be thinking something completely different. Doesn't matter. Take the name of the Lord. One day that name will become you. This remembering the name of the God should be regularly done in the morning, in the noon, and in the evening, and all the time. We should not remain without taking the name in our happiness, pain, depression, worry, or when we are in a blissful mood. Again, it is like this. When we are angry and upset, we don't want to think about God. when you feel that somebody has insulted you, somebody has said something bad to you, when you are in pain, when you are in agony, when you are depressed, when you are totally down and out, at that time the name of God doesn't even come to your mouth, isn't it? But what does Samartha Ramdas say? Samartha Ramdas says, take the name. Doesn't matter. Just keep on taking the name. The name will become you. I am telling you this. The remembering of the name should be continued in the time of enjoyment, in difficulties, in auspicious festival days, at the time of rest, or before going to sleep. Now, people have asked me this, while I am sleeping, can I take the name? Lying on the bed? There is no special requirement. You see, when you are sleeping on the bed, you may take your girlfriend's name, isn't it? So if that is not a problem to you, what is the problem in taking the name of Lord? Got it? It is not a problem. When you wake up in the morning also, you can take his name. And another time, another stupid person had asked me the question, does God live even in the toilet? What are you talking about? God is everywhere. It is your mind which is dirty. You see, you got what I am saying? So it is not important that where he lives is, just take his name. Doesn't matter. Taking the name is all that is needed. All right. There may be problems, calamities and awkward situations, and we may be busy in various activities and may be worried due to it, but remembering the name must be done. Even in times of when you are rushing to work or doing some very important job, don't worry, you can take his name. It should be like going on at the back of your mind, just going on constantly. There are 4 kinds of sounds, 4 kinds. The one which is audible, which is under the breath people speak, The other one is audible, like what I speak, it's very loud. Yeah, people go to sleep while listening to me. Okay, I can understand that. The third one is in the mind. You speak in the mind the name. And the fourth one is anata. It happens on its own only. It is literally like going on as a throb. It happens. Now these 4 sounds is what we normally operate at. The fourth one, which I told you, we don't even know what it sounds like. But you have to go from that small one to the next one, to the next one, and to the next one. When he is saying, you say the name loudly, say it. The second sound. Say it under your breath, first one. Say it loudly, second one. Third, take the name in the mind, constant reminder that there is a God over there. And when all these 3 come into play, the fourth one automatically triggers off. It's an automatic thing. It happens on its own. So the fourth sound is what? Is an unheard sound. It cannot even hear it. It happens on its own like a vibration. It's going on. So taking the name of God, whichever place that you are in, doesn't matter. Take the name. All right. There may be prosperity or calamity, whatever may be your condition, we should not miss our steady remembrance of the name. Never miss the steady remembrance of the name. Even if you are drowning or even if you are getting, a Nobel Prize, don't worry, you can take his name. There may be glory, great capacity and great power and authority. All necessities must be easily available. We may be rich. Even then, we should not forget the name of God. Man forgets the name of God when he gets everything. You see, when man is given everything in the world, he completely forgets God. What is being told over here is, even in all times, worries as well as when you become rich, when you have so much of wealth, then also you should take the name of God. It is very important to take the name of God constantly. Right. There may be pitiable conditions followed by prosperity, or good financial conditions followed by poverty. Or conditions may be of any type, but we should not stop taking the name of God. Sometimes a person is very poor. He takes the name of God and then he becomes very rich. Sometimes the person is very rich and he loses everything and becomes very poor. At all points in time, the name of God is all that has to be taken. In that case, there is a story which I have heard, which I have told you all before also. In that story, there are two friends. You see, one friend, a person who goes to, brothels and all those places, and he enjoys his life thoroughly. He drinks and all kinds of stuff he does. There is another friend over there who always goes to the temple. And now they meet on the way. So the person who is going to the red light area, he is asking his friend, where are you going? So the friend says, I am going to the temple and I am going to be taking the name of God. So he feels a little awkward. So where are you going, my dear friend? Oh, I am going to that place, the place. So he is feeling it very awkward. Now it so happens that the temple comes first. So his friend goes inside the temple. This man progresses towards his destination, where he is supposed to meet all the prostitutes and all. Now, the person who is sitting in the temple, he keeps on thinking, oh my God, I am sitting over here listening to all this crap which these people are doing, listening to this name of God and all that, nothing is happening to me. Whereas my friend over there must be enjoying his life, all those beautiful women, wine, this, that. He must be really enjoying his life. And the friend who has gone to that place, other place, thinks, my friend is such a great person. You see, he is only thinking of God. And I am such a miserable person. I am sitting over here and getting drunk and I am lost in my lust. My friend is so great. And it is said when these two people died, the person who was sitting in the temple went to hell. And the person who had gone to the prostitute, because even in the last moment he kept on thinking, my other friend is so nice, I should be going there. He goes to heaven. This was a story told by Ramakrishna Ji also. So just to get you the idea that taking the name of God is not just the name of God, you have to ensure that you are immersed in it. So try immersing yourself in that name. By name which is taken regularly, calamities are destroyed, difficulties are avoided, and we can get high positions in the spiritual world. When you take the name of God, you will get high position in the spiritual world also. By having faith in the name, the trouble from ghosts or evil beings from astral world or the disturbances caused by the deceased Brahmin spirit or by mistakes, faults, etc. in repetition of tantric mantras are all can be avoided. This is what I have said before also. When people say mantras, see, when a person says different kinds of mantras, especially the tantric kind, even if you make a slight error, a small mistake, you can get into very big trouble. So it is better to not say it. But if you have to say it, at least take the name of God after that. Say that, I'm sorry God, I don't know whether I've said the right things or the wrong things, but I think you know better. So I will take your name. So the name of the Lord, when it is taken after doing the prayers, whatever that you do, by doing whatever mantra that you are doing, it purifies. It will remove all the errors in the system. That is what he says. You see, by having faith in the name. Now when they start with this word, having faith in the name, do you know there is an entire religion based on the name? Do you know about that? Entire religion is based on the name only. Satnam, Vaheguru. I'm sure you have heard of Sikhism, isn't it? What are they believing in? The name, Naam. You see, the name of God is all that is needed. They say the name of God and you can reach the ultimate destination also. Vaheguru. You see, through Guru is the doorway to God, they say. So when you take the name of the Guru also, you'll find that in Sikhism they take the name of Guru, I think, 1,000,000 times, you see, in their entire life. That is what they do. Whatever his words, whatever the Guru has said, it's called Satvachan, isn't it? Huh? And it is called Guru Vani. Vani, the words that come out from the mouth of the Guru. What is their script called? Guru Vani, isn't it? So if you actually look at this particular religion, you will find the real essence of the Naam, the name of God. That is it. You can take the name of God in whichever way you want. The name of God is whatever you feel is the ultimate name of God. You can call him by whatever name that you wish to call him. Some call him Krishna, some call him Allah, some call him Bhagwan, some call him Jesus or Father in heaven. Whatever name that you feel comfortable with, whichever religion that you believe in, you can take the name of that particular God. And that is all that is needed. So this is what he says. By having faith in the name, when you have faith in the name, all the troubles also go away. If there are ghosts who are going to run after you, they'll also run away. Take the name of God. All right. By the power of God's name, the effect of poison is removed, black magic is retaliated, and we get higher paths after death. Now people will say, I will drink poison and then I'll take the name of God. It is not like that. It is called faith in the name. See, understand this. The amount of faith that you have in the name. Just taking the name, even a parrot takes a name. Parrot will keep on calling out your name if you have to. But that is not going to give him anything. The faith, the ultimate faith in the name is important. That is what he means. The name should be taken continuously at all times, in childhood, in youth, in difficult times, old age, and even at the time of death. Lord Shankar, as the presiding god of Varanasi by name Vishweshwar, it's called Vishwanath also, knows the greatness of name and advises all to take the name of Ram. Okay, thus Varanasi is called the place of liberation. Shivji, the greatest of the gods, Mahadev as we call him, isn't it? Devoka Dev, Mahadev we call him. Whom does he do japa on? Do you know whom does he do the japa on? He takes the name of Sri Ram constantly. That is the way in which he can reach his ultimate destination and the goals. So when Vishwanath himself, Kashi Vishwanath as we call him, if he is taking the name of Sri Ram, don't you think the name must be so powerful? That's what he says. By taking the name of Ram in reverse order as Mara, Valmiki was emancipated and was able to write the biography of Rama, which is very extensive, much earlier than actually happening. This is the strangest part of Ramayana. I don't know whether you know about this. Ramayana first got written. The entire Ramayana was first written and everything happened the way it was written. So, when Valmiki was there as Valyakoli, he was a fisherman and he used to waylay people on the road. So one day while he was waylaying people, he was in the jungle and Narada comes over there. He looks at him and says, whatever you have, you give it to me, otherwise I'll kill you. Narada looks at him and says, what is the point in killing me? I have nothing but one tambura maybe, I take the name of God. But you see, taking the name of God is so very important. I also keep on taking the name Narayana, 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 Narayana constantly. So this is what Narada teaches. If you have been with me while doing the Narad Bhakti Sutra, if you remember Narad Bhakti Sutra, it's a scripture that I had done recently. We finished that and then we started this. What is the name that he keeps on taking? He just says Narayan, Narayan, Narayan constantly. Just by taking the name of Narayan, he is able to do whatever he wants to. He can go through all the three lokas possible. He can be in whichever place he feels like. See, that is the way. So, when he met Valmiki, His name was not Valmiki at that time. So Valmiki says, I will kill you. So he says, you see, if you kill me, you are going to have a lot of sins. And we call it the ghada. Ghada means the pot of sin is full. By killing me, you will anyway go to hell. You see, why do you do this bad activity? So Valyakoli says to him, I am doing it because my wife and children have to eat food, I have to take care of them. That is the reason why I have to kill. I have to, waylay people on the road. So he says, okay, if that is the case, do you think your wife and your children will be able to take the load of the sin on their head? Whatever that you are doing for them, go and ask them. Oh, he says, oh, you are a very smart fellow. You want to run away. That's why you are telling me that. He says, no. You please tie me up over here. I am not going to run away. I will stay here only. So Valyakoli goes to his wife and asks her. He tells her, you see, I killed so many people and then I robbed them so that I can feed all of you all. I do these great sins. You see, I do all this for you alone. Can you take part in that sin of mine a little bit? Little bit. His wife says, why should I take it? It's your problem. It's your duty to feed us. What you do, the way you do it is none of my business. And if you have done some sin, that is your problem, not mine. The children also say the same thing. So he goes back to Narada and he says, I'm very sorry. My wife said, no. What am I to do? Now I have gathered so many sins. What should I do? So he says, I am your guru now. So I will teach you to take the Nama. Nama, the name of God. He says, what is the name of God? He says Rama. Okay, say Rama. He says Rama I cannot pronounce. Okay, he is not able to pronounce. He says Mara. So he says, okay, Mara. Say Mara. Mara, 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 Mara. If you keep on repeating Mara, Mara constantly, it becomes Rama, Rama, Rama. So he says, you sit over here and take the name of the Lord. And I will come back and then I will release you from here. Then you would be completely free of all the sins. And Narada goes away. Then Narada comes after quite some time and he sees Valmiki is sitting over there taking the name of Rama. So then he finds that he is now realized just by taking the name. So then he tells him, Valmiki then asks him, what am I now to do? So he says, this is a time you can write the story of Sri Ram. Write it. He says, but I don't know. So he says, don't worry. God himself will write through you. So go, sit and write. And that is how Ramayana got written. Ramayana was written even before Ram came into existence, by the way. You should know that. And later on, Valmiki's ashram is the place where Sita goes to in the jungles. That's another story. So I hope you understood how powerful the name of God is. By the name of Hari, Prahlad, the devotee of God, was saved from many accidents and was liberated. Ajmila was also purified the name of Narayana. Ajmila said the name only once and he died. Actually, he was calling out to his son, whose name was also Narayana. But Narayana's Dut came and took him away. Narayana the God, okay. By name, the stones could float. Innumerable devotees were freed and the great sinner became very pure. This is seen in between Lanka and India. The stones that were put over there by Hanuman and his gang of, they floated on the water. How did they float? By taking the name of Rama. Alright. There are innumerable names of God, and by regular repeating of any name, we will be saved, and Yama, the god of death, will not be able to punish us. So take the name of God even at the time of death also. You may take any one name out of the 1,000 names. By that, purpose of your life will be fulfilled and you will be blessed and pious. Do you remember the name of the chapter? You see, the name of the chapter was very strange. It says, Remembering Lord Vishnu. And till just now, we were talking about name only. Do you know why we were taking the name? You see, we take 1001 names of God. You can go and select whichever name you want. It is all going towards this divine Lord called Vishnu only, the avatar of Krishna. Alright, so that's how it is. If a person does not do any other thing but utters only the name of Rama, by that alone God is pleased and he takes care of the devotee. You may very well consider the body of a person to be very blessed and meritorious who repeats the name of God, because by the name of Rama mountains of sins are destroyed. The importance of name is so great that it cannot be described. By name many are emancipated. Even Lord Shankara escaped the bad effect of the great poison Halhala by repeating the name of Rama. That means, if you remember, while the churning of the ocean was happening, the poison came out which was drunk by Shiva. That is why he's called Neelkantha. You see, the poison got stuck up over here in the throat, but he kept on taking the name of Sri Ram. All the four castes have got authority to repeat God's name. There is no condition that one should be small or great, young or old. Even the stupid, ignorant person are liberated by name alone. Therefore, we should remember God's name continuously. His appearance should be remembered in the mind. Thus, the third type of devotion is described over here. Thus, in the fourth Dashaka of Das Bodh, in the dialogue between the Guru and the disciple, the third chapter by name Remembering Lord Vishnu is completed here. So we have come to the end of chapter 3. The next chapter is Service at the Feet of the Guru. Next time it is about Seva, Guru Seva. So we will be doing the chapter tomorrow. So I'll take your leave. You have a very good evening and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.